So when we talk about tools for stabilizing the mind, we're talking about strategies. And while I'm talking about that, Tashette, I cannot not mention the Attractive Thinker book on Amazon. Attractive Thinkers and Visionaries, if you do not have your copy of the Attractive Thinker that you can get on Amazon, it is essential. It is a must. This is not a book that you read. It's a reference. These are tools and strategies and methods and practical applications that you can apply to where you currently are. I had an attractive thinker, I was talking to them on the phone about getting a copy of this book. We had a conversation and the book came up because of what this attractive thinker was dealing with. And I was describing the book to them. I sent them the Amazon link and was describing the book to them. And they said, oh my God, 726 pages. They said, I have ADHD. They said immediately when you said 726 pages, I knew immediately that I would not be able to read this book. And I let them finish talking. I said, wow, my brain even shifted while I was talking to them. I said, I had not considered that when I was writing the book. I said, this book is actually written in a way that a person with ADHD could experience the Attractive Thinker book and not get overwhelmed because it's not a storybook.
Right.
It's not the type of book that you read from start to finish, from page 1 to page 726. It's not that type of book. It's the type of book that's a reference, a guide. Back in the day, we used encyclopedias to shed. And when a topic, my teacher gave us a topic to study and write an essay on or whatever for homework or whatever, I could go to, we had volumes. It came in volume A, volume B, volume C, all these volumes, all the way up to Z. And if my topic was trees, I could go to volume T. I didn't have to read through the entire encyclopedia looking for what I needed. I could go to the book that had a T on it. It was a gold letter T. There were gold letters from the alphabet on all the spines of the books. So I could go right to the area that I needed, and then I would flip through under trees, and there was the information that I needed. The Attractive Thinker book was written the same way. I didn't even know I had written it like that, to shut, but the spirit knows what the Attractive Thinker generation needed. So I was sharing with this attractive thinker, you can go to the area, go to the table of contents, whatever area you're dealing with in this particular instance in your life, you go to that chapter, get what you need. You can close the book and move on with your day because now you have the mental tools to support you in stabilizing your mind and in making progress in that area. She was like overjoyed. She was like, wow. She said that was the ticket for me. She said, as soon as you said I don't have to read the whole book and still get the same attractive thinker effect, still get the same mental effect as everything that's in the entire book. See, it's just like when we read the Bible. You know, when I was younger, my mom raised us in church and things like that. The Bible, you walk around and it's real thick. But I chose to carve it in such a way that it served me where I presently and currently was. And I discovered that one verse in the entire Bible, out of all those verses, one verse had enough power to give me what I needed, just as if I had read the entire book. Because it wasn't about reading the entire book, it was about getting what I needed. Think about that, attractive thinker. So run on over to Amazon because the attractive thinker book is full of tools for stabilizing the mind. When we talk about stabilizing, and I didn't look up the word stable, but we're looking about constant. We're looking at settling the mind because you get your best work done when your mind is at peace. When your mind is at peace, it's the calm waters that soothe us. I want you to think about that. When your mind is not at peace, it's like a raging river. The water is splashing everywhere. The waves are coming and going. You can't make sense of anything. You don't know which way you're going. You're being tossed to and fro. And the mind in that instance is not stable. And you feel that tossing of the energy. You feel that tossing of your thoughts. You feel that tossing of your perceptions. You feel like you have a grip Your mind brings you one perception. You said, okay, if I view this situation in that way, that makes sense. That gives me relief. And you try to hold on to that perception, and then another perception slips in on you, and you begin to consider that perception. And now you're waffling between two perceptions. Your mind is not stable. And scripture talks about that. A double minded man is unstable in all of his ways. Tishet talked to us today about tools for stabilizing the mind.
Dr. Tony, one of the things that I did while you were talking was I looked up the word stable because we want to
Mm,
be in the act of stabilizing things, but we need to know what stable is, right? And the
right?
definition of stable is resistant to change of position or condition. And
Mm,
it says firm and dependable, subject to little fluctuation. That's the definition. But I wanted to go over here to the synonyms, and some of these synonyms definitely stand out. Imagine you wanting your mind to be firm, steady, strong, persistent, sound, constant, permanent, consistent, steadfast, durable, lasting,
my God.
unfluctuating, enduring, solid. Imagine your mind being like that. And we're saying we want you to be able to have these tools in place so
Mm-hmm.
that when life happens, and I mean, when I say life happens, life can go good and bad, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when it gets to the point where you're overwhelmed or you come to a situation that is a little harder to handle, um,
Mm,
than the normal everyday life, you want to make sure that you are in a good position to make stable decisions, right? Dr. Tony, one of the things you always said is never make a decision when you're halted, right? When
mm-hmm.
you're hungry, when you're angry, when you're lonely, when you're tired, when you're emotional. And what was the last D? When you are drained. Was
Mm.
that the last D? I think it was when you are emotionally spent, and then when you are um drained.
I'll
Um
get it to you. Mm-hmm. Keep going. I'll get it
this
to you.
and so I want you to remember halted. Write that down. Write down halted. H. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired, emotionally spent, and
Distracted.
distracted.
That's what
That's
it
the
was.
word.
Distracted. Go ahead.
Distracted.
Yeah, I hear you. Keep going.
Distracted. We want to make
Yes. Yes.
Yes, we want to make sure we want to keep halted in mind so that we're not making frantic decisions in a highly emotional state
Mm-hmm.
that we will regret later.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, how many times have you made a decision because you were angry and then you just regretted everything you did and now you can't undo it? We
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to live unapologetically,
Mm.
have a life that is worth living, and a life that we love where we can grow. We're not interested in having a life that is stale, stuck, or stagnant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure that we have the good habits. When we talk about how different systems in our mind work, we have to remember that sometimes what we think in our mind comes from what we see, how we perceive life. Now, here's the thing: life is really 10%
Mm.
of what happened and 90% of what you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
90% concept and perception.
Say that again because that's a gem that they need to capture in the Attractive Thinker Notebook, please. We
Mhm.
we need to get that because when you said it, I saw it. And it's like the iceberg effect. The mind is what is beneath that surface. You
Yes.
said the other 10% of that you were talking about was what happened. That's that little tip that we see above the water.
Yeah.
And if the mind is that much of a percentage, we need to focus on that.
Yes, absolutely. And that's part of stabilizing the mind too. That's a tool as well, Dr. Tony, is understanding that.